Good evening and welcome to another informative episode of Health Check. Now, Health Check only comes on Hope TV, where you look and live. I want you to do an exercise with me. Just breathe in and out. And just thank God that you can do that, in case you have nothing to be grateful for today. Today's episode is quite informative, and according to the World Health Organization, and even right here in Kenya, 6,000 children are born annually. Let's start with Kenya, with the particular disease we're going to be talking about. If you did check out our amazing trailer of what's going to be happening today on our Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram, you do know the conversation is on sickle cell anemia. With me, I have two amazing guests in studio, and I'm going to start with ladies because it's always ladies first. And today she's sitting on the doctor's side. She's not a doctor, but me, I'd call her a doctor because she's taken time to actually set up and co-found and be the executive director of Joan Chazima Sickle Cell Foundation. Joan Chazima, karibu sana.
Asante sana, Kerry.
Just tell us a little bit about you and your foundation.
Yeah. So my name is Joan Chazima, co-founder and executive director of Joan Chazima Sickle Cell Foundation. A person living with sickle cell disease, and a mother also, and a wife.
Wow, those are amazing details. Please send love to your family. I know they are watching. We can't wait to the end of the show. To me, salamu.
Hi everybody. Hi Edwin. How kids? How are you kids? Hope you're seeing mom.
That's excellent. And with us, of course, he's not new to this set. He's been here before, Dr. Geoffrey Mutuma. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Before we went to the break, I saw pathologist and microbiologist. Are those some of the titles you hold under your belt, long serving?
I like calling myself a pathologist, but as you know, pathologist knows everything, but does everything late.
Okay.
So as a pathologist, I'm trained in hematology, I'm trained in microbiology, I'm trained in immunology, I'm trained in microbiology and parasitology, and I'm trained in clinical chemistry, and I specialized in forensic pathology. So for pathology is a wide topic, and for us, most of us, we know almost everything. And that's why I say that pathologists are the doctors who know everything, do everything, but 1 minute late.
Oh, I love it. Meaning when you're index 1 wa madaktari. So pia kwa madaktari kuna index 1. I absolutely love it. What is sickle cell anemia? Probably someone is hearing this for the very first time.
Right. First, I would like to start by describing what anemia is.
Sure.
And before I go to anemia, I want to describe what a sickle cell disease is. Because there is a sickle cell disease and there is sickle cell anemia.
Okay.
There are so many people who have got sickle cell disease, but they don't have anemia.
Okay.
So a sickle cell disease is where you find that the red blood cells, they are supposed to be round. And then because of some conditions somebody has, they become sickled, they become C-shaped, they become sickle shaped. So that's what we call sickle cell disease. And you find that because the normal red blood cells is supposed to be round, but when you have got that disease of sickle cell, they become abnormal in shape. And that we call the sickle cell disease, because that is a disease which somebody has. Sickle cell anemia is when you got lack of blood because of sickle cell disease. So sickle cell anemia, it is for those people who have got sickle cell, and because the red blood cells, it takes 120 days in body and then it dies. But people with sickle cell disease, the red blood cells takes very short time, because it's abnormal, it's normally removed from the body by the spleen. We call it a sequestration. They are removed from the body by the spleen because they're abnormal. So you find that there's production of the white blood cells from the bone marrow. When they come to the body, in the circulation, they normally take 120 days normal life for red blood cells. But then for somebody with sickle cell disease, they are normally removed before the 120 days. So for that, the production and the removal is actually faster than the normal person. That's often that the people with sickle cell disease, they normally have sickle cell anemia, and that's often that most of them, their level of blood, their level of red blood cells is very low. Is normally between 5 and 10, and normal people, their hemoglobin, that is what called the concentration of red blood cells in the blood, is supposed to be more than 10. more than 10, that's normal. When it's below 10, that we call it anemia. And there's, of course, anemia has got several grades. There's mild anemia, moderate anemia, and severe anemia. Severe anemia is when it's below 5, and you need to be transfused when it's below 5. And when it's between 7 and 5, you can monitor. When it's below 10 and 7, that's not much. You can be taught what to do, mainly diet, so that you can increase the hemoglobin. Most people who have got sickle cell anemia, their blood is between 5 and 10. Most of them.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a very good definition. I would have done better in my biology, but I don't think my biology teacher, she might be watching. Let me just engage Joan for a minute. And Dr. you'll chime in on this. What are some of the causes you've had of sickle cell anemia and sickle cell, now that we've defined the two?
Now, with sickle cell, as he's explained, it's the abnormalities of the red blood cells, right? Now, red blood cells carry oxygen. You understand? Now, try and imagine someone who has less oxygen. Even you as a healthy person, when you have less oxygen in your system, what happens? Number one, you're dizzy. And the saddest part is, and this is the saddest part with sickle cell disease, because number one, it's a red blood disorder, but it affects our organs. Now, you can imagine your heart is not getting enough oxygen. Your brain is not getting enough oxygen. Your liver, your kidneys. So we have to be very careful, just to make sure, as he says, be above 10 to try and function normally. But it is rare. Why? Because of the C-shaped cells. You have more of that, and that means you always have low red blood cells, low blood, and now even just normal functioning is just difficult. Yes.
What have you had is a cause? What could have caused these cells to be C-shaped?
It's a genetic.
It's a genetic thing.
Blood disorder.
Doctor, what would you say?
Yeah, sickle cell is a genetic disorder. So
generally, so there's nothing that you.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's quite
This one you're
interesting.
inheriting from your parents, both your parents.
Why is sickle cell more prevalent in the equatorial belt and lake belt region? What's that about?
We have not known why. Why is common that, in fact, in the equator, in fact, is common there, and we have never known why. All the way from Accra to Somalia and Ethiopia, it's common in the equatorial belt. We have never known why, but what we know is that actually is common where malaria is prevalent.
Okay.
And we have not actually known the reason why we find normally a sickle cell in the equator. There is no actually explanation where you can explain.
Yeah.
But we find that this is genetic, and the people are born with it. There's no, you cannot have it. You're just born with it. You are just born with that lack of certain protein in your hemoglobin or in your gene, and that you grow with it and to stay with it. And there's nothing you can do about it.
So when you have a conversation like who is at risk to get a sickle cell?
Nobody has risk to get a sickle cell. The risk is when your parents have got sickle cell.
Okay.
Have got there are sickle cell traits. Those are the ones who have got the trait, but they don't have the disease. They have got a trait of sickle cell, but they don't have the disease. And there are those who have got the disease. Okay. It means that when your parents have got the trait, well, especially the two parents, now when a child can be born with the sickle cell disease now, and because the two genes have to contribute to somebody having the sickle cell itself. Yes.
Okay. As we talk about this, Joan, when were you diagnosed with sickle cell?
Interesting enough, when I was 22 is when I discovered, yes.
So all this time?
Yes.
What was going on with you? Did you have anything? Did you have to go to hospital for other things?
Definitely. I've always been sick, and with sickle cell, anything can trigger. Cold weather, you're sick. It's raining and you're feeling cold, you're sick. It's too hot or you're dehydrated, you're sick. So now, growing up in a small town in Kitale, let me say that.
Wow. Hello, everyone watching from Kitale.
Yeah, so the weather sometimes can get very cold. Yeah. Months of June, July, and the rainy season, it's pretty cold. So now, you know, you would get, and Kitale being a highland area, there's lots of malaria. So now the assumption was, it's just malaria. So sometimes you'd be treated for malaria, sometimes you go and be treated for typhoid, sometimes both. But then again, nobody could ever explain to me why I'm getting this pain. Even after medication, I'm still in a lot of pain. So sometimes you'd find you're starting your term very well. 3 weeks into your education, you're sick. And these are times of corporal punishment, don't forget, So you're late, you're spanked, you know, and this was, it used to go all the way, so it wasn't very easy. So now when you're beaten like that, the next day, you're not coming to school for the next 1 week, 2 weeks, because you're sick. So every time it just was malaria or typhoid or both, or just weather conditions and you're in pain, you're not able to walk because maybe sometimes you've got pain on your legs, you have got chest pain or back pain, and you can barely move, you know. So yes, that has been my life up to when now I came to Nairobi, and now I got acute chest syndrome, and eventually after the doctor did all the tests, told me, you come back for one more. So coming back for one more is, he didn't even tell me what test.
Yeah.
And I think I was just at the end of it because I was in so much pain. So when he told me just one more, let's test this one more.
Yes.
I didn't ask, I just said, okay.
Wow.
And that's when, after, I think about 2 weeks is when now he called me and told me you have sickle cell.
Wow.
Yeah.
Daktari, how do you diagnose sickle cell? Now that this dear, lovely, beautiful lady.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm really glad because in a short while you'll be telling us how you ended up forming, you know, your organization. That's super, like God had a purpose for your pain. You know, at least now you can see it. But back then, were you ever told you're pretending?
Of course, people sometimes believe you
because
are
you're
not,
always sick.
As in what's wrong with you.
May God forgive them. Have you forgiven them?
Oh, yes, they didn't know.
Sir, they didn't know. Forgive them for they know not what they are doing.
What we are saying.
Yes. Daktari, how do you diagnose sickle cell?
Sickle cell is quite easy to diagnose. And the first thing, in fact, I'm surprised that she was diagnosed 22 years.
Can you imagine?
I've never met a patient diagnosed with sickle cell at 22 years. Because most of the time, you know, actually after 3 years, actually, the first 1 year, it's difficult to know. But after 1 or 3 years, you start diagnosing. And then by the time they are 7 years, they are quite sick. And what I can tell you that actually you are lucky that you did not have that serious sickness, because for people who have got sickle cell, actually the sickness is quite serious and they become actually quite sick. And I think yours was not that serious. It was mild type of sickle cell anemia. Sickle cell disease. So the diagnosis of sickle cell disease, the first thing is that there are several ways to diagnose. First is the clinical presentation. Normally children present with a lot of pain. And this pain comes periodically, and the pain, it comes, of course, the way she has said, that it comes when it's very cold, or sometimes it comes when it's during rain season, or it comes when you've got a temperature, or when, of course, as a flu is normal to trigger sickle cell crisis. So normally how you diagnose it, first is clinical presentation, and more so, it is where you are coming from. Because if you tell me you're coming from Kitale, I don't think about sickle cell disease.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because Kitale is not a place for sickle cell disease. It's in Kisumu. When you're coming from Kisumu and you've got pain, the first thing I think is sickle cell disease. And sometimes in the coast. So the sickle cell, we know that is mainly in the leg region. That's where we find the sickle cell. Kitale, no, I've not met, and that's why I call it. She's
a very unique case. And also maybe her pain levels are different.
Are different, So when diagnosing the sickle cell, the first thing is that you normally do what you call Hymophilia. Hymophilia, you check at the blood levels. You check how much blood is. It's called hemoglobin. You check there's some other parameters down there, and now you can start guessing what it is. And then the different diagnosis is actually when you do what you call peripheral blood film. Peripheral blood film is that you actually take the blood and you spread it thin in a slide, and then you look under the microscope. And now is when you actually will be able to see the sickle cell, because when you look under the microscope, when you're looking at the peripheral blood film, the red blood cells are round and nicely round. But the sickle cell person, you find that they are C-shaped or they are sickle-shaped. And that's when you know that this is a sickle, because the cells are sickle-shaped. And after that is of the other factors, like they are what we call the the teardrops. There are many factors. You find that actually the roundness of the red blood cells is lost. There are some which looks like C, others look like Sickle, and then others they are drop. They are just a drop like that. We normally call them droplets or target cells. Even that the cells is the red blood cells is round, and then in between there's a dot. Yeah, that's called it target cells. And then of course there are so many factors, and that because of the white blood cells, because of the red blood cells are being produced so fast, they are immature red blood cells. Call them reticulocytes. They are immature. They don't look red. They are more bluish because they are being produced before they are mature. Because the body is sensing that there's not enough red blood cells which are circulating. So the bone marrow is very active producing them, and they are produced before they are mature. And when you see all those factors, it was when you know this person have got a sickle cell disease. And then there's another test which is done, which is a bit complicated, which we normally diagnose. And of course, we just starve the red blood cells, the oxygen, and the sickle. Because normally sickling comes when the red blood cells are starved of oxygen, and that when they sickle. But normally you can make a diagnosis by clinical presentation when you examine the patient, and then when you do the hemogram, when you do the peripheral blood film, and then when you do the other extended test, which actually is more diagnosed. So there are so many tests. There are better of tests which are quite detailed. Yeah.
Wow. This is quite interesting because, she's presenting from a different place where it's not expected.
Yeah,
so probably even you are the first patient to keep going.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
People are there. It's just that, the saddest part with sickle cell is the stigma that comes with it. People are not going to talk about it because now you're in this space. Your neighbors, your brothers, your cousins, your relatives, you don't want anybody to know that you have sickle cell, because according to people, the myth of sickle cell is you will die as early as possible. You understand?
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are talking from an informed point. Yes. But people there, they don't look at that. You'd mention sickle cell and there's a death tag on it.
Let's take a moment to actually cancel that, because, just like the way it was COVID, COVID had this. You have COVID, oh, goodbye. Let's start dividing your property. And I think when you talked about oxygen, I remember putting an oximeter because I had COVID, but thank God I've recovered. I am negative. That's why I'm here. Yeah. Don't be afraid. Don't run. Security. and I saw my oximeter was at 86, which is very low. It's supposed to be 95 and above, apparently.
Yes.
And I was like, this is it. Goodbye, because of what people say. But really, you have to. So let's speak life into sickle cell. Sickle cell is not a death sentence.
It is not.
Dr. Can you say it to the people, to that camera?
Yes. I think sickle cell, it has got that stigma. It's a fact.
And we need to remove it completely.
We need to remove it because I've seen several people live with sickle cell comfortably after adult life, even those who are diagnosed very young.
Yes.
We've got several people who have lived. But the way saying that actually, when you are not taken care of properly, it is actually it's not a simple disease to live with.
And we are getting there.
And more so, especially in the rural area, where there's that my cousins and my I'm a sickler, and then there's that, and that's not right. And because with the proper care, you can live normal life with a sickle cell.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As we continue, we're talking about sickle cell, and we've known the sickle cell and the sickle cell anemia.
Yes.
And so we'll just put them that way as we continue the conversation on Health Check. Start sending in your questions. With us in studio is the co-founder and executive director of Joan Chazima Sickle Cell Foundation, and she'll be telling us all about it because I'm super excited. There's someone championing the cause finally, and she's a mommy, she's a wife, she's just winning all around, and that's super exciting. And of course, with us, pathologist and microbiologist, you know him, Dr. Geoffrey Mutuma, in studio as well. Keep your questions coming. As they continue, we'll be taking a break in a minute, but let's start highlighting the treatment for sickle cell. If there's anything else we haven't left out in the diagnosis. Is there anything you feel like we've left out?
This is my point of view.
Okay.
Sickle cell disease, once you get to understand it, have proper management. And this starts from home. Don't just wait for the doctors to do these things for you, you know. Learn about the condition and then just start with your home management. That means your diet. That means how you take care of yourself. When it is cold, I mean, nobody needs to tell you you need to keep warm. Our first medication, and this is what I call the miracle medicine, is our water. Have enough. Don't wait to be dehydrated, because definitely a crisis will come. Eat well, rest well. You know, just learn these things, because you know now, if you don't do these things, trust you me, those hospital visits, oh, there'll be many.
That's true.
Yeah.
As you talk about that, doctor, you're coming to you for treatment, and what are the steps one goes through? But just tell me, how do you make a habit of drinking water? The people who don't have that habit, what advice would you give, even as a mommy who has had to train her children to drink a lot of water?
You know, these things we learn. I never used to take a lot of water. But then again, I noticed when I'm dehydrated, crisis comes.
Yes.
As in 2 days without taking enough water, trust you me, it comes. So I had to start learning. And I noticed when it's cold, I don't want to take any water.
Yes.
I'd rather take tea.
Yes.
But that's not enough.
Yeah.
I need water.
Yes.
So I started learning to drink warm water.
Yeah.
And the more you drink warm water, it doesn't quench your thirst. So you continue drinking. So that has been my trick.
Wow.
So you continue drinking the warm water. It does not quench your thirst. That means you will continue wanting more water. Yeah, so it's just something, started learning, pole, and eventually, trust you me, if I don't do my 3 liters or 4 liters in a day, I'll feel like there's something amiss.
Wow.
Yes.
That's quite interesting. Daktari,
Yes.
you've discovered someone has sickle cell. What's the next step?
The next step is actually, the way I said, is to advise a patient how to live.
Okay.
Because there's no treatment for sickle cell disease. You control it. Because once you have it, you have it. And it has no treatment. So the only thing is actually to control yourself and to control so that you don't have the crisis. And when you have the crisis, you take the right steps for the crisis.
Yes.
And the way I said, somebody with sickle cell, dehydration actually is the most common cause of sickle cell crisis.
Wow.
Sickle cell crisis is when you have got a thrombosis, or your small blood vessels are blocked by the abnormal red blood cells. When they are blocked now, it means that parts of the body does not get enough oxygen, or the blood actually does not flow there. So that's why you find that when you got crisis, that's not good, because there's a blockage of the small red blood cells by the red blood cells, and that makes the blood not go there, and the oxygen not to go there. And that somebody has a problem. If it's a brain, there's a problem in the brain. If the lungs, there's a problem in the lungs.
Because it's the cells that take the oxygen.
Yes.
The red blood cells are the ones that transport the oxygen.
Okay.
Yeah, and now this one are sickle, so they don't have any oxygen. And that's where the issue is. And the most important thing, there's no treatment, is because when they go to hospital, the first thing we do is rehydrate them.
Okay.
We give them water, and then...
So is that a drip?
Yeah, that's a drip.
Okay.
It's better to get water through your mouth by your own self than to get it through the drip. But sometimes when they're on crisis and they're in that pain, you have got an option. You just have to rehydrate them with a lot of water, and then if you give them water within 1 hour or the 2 hours, the pain goes, because there's enough water in the blood in the blood system. And then the other, of course, is to maintain pain, because when you've got pain, and also to prevent them from having real thrombosis, because they can have thrombosis. That's the red blood cells blocks the blood vessels.
Yes.
And that becomes a crisis. Actually, that's why it's called crisis, because it comes very short, of a short time.
Yeah.
And then when it's not taken care of, it's not very good. That's why it's called sickle cell crisis.
So the only way to unblock is to
give water.
It's the
It's
IV
wash.
fluids is what will
You
dilute
give
now
water.
so that it
water.
moves, so that the red blood cells can
So
move.
all the treatment here is natural things that God has given us.
Yes.
It's the first thing.
It's a fast thing. Okay, is there any medication, pills?
Yeah, okay. Of course, now there are things like Pen-V, there's hydroxyurea, there's folic acid.
In English? Anyone understanding? Just wait. It's an English lesson, not a science lesson.
I'm not a scientist. Yes.
No, but this situation has made you one by force.
But yes. So now, like now, I will talk in my case.
Let's talk about you, of course.
I am on hydroxyurea. Now, what hydroxyurea? Now, there's also a myth about hydroxyurea because it was used to treat cancer.
Okay.
Now, when you give someone with sickle cell hydroxyurea, they don't want it because they're saying it will now give them cancer. Now, they don't understand the purpose for the hydroxyurea. Hydroxyurea just is supposed to raise your fetal hemoglobin. You get? So with the fetal hemoglobin, now your body manages and manages better. So that's why we are taking hydroxyurea, we're taking folic to help with the iron. And then now there's some who would be put on Pen-V because of infection.
So someone who likes eating mawes, they should take folic.
Yes,
Nasaidia.
they're lacking something.
It's not me. I was asking for a friend.
Yes, but I'm saying they're lacking something, not you. So yes, you're lacking whoever is lacking something.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, so this medication, you see, it's just mostly preventative measure because according to science, the only US they say they're going steps further. They're doing gene therapies. We don't know how well it works. They're doing bone marrow transplants. But you know, it's a whole process and it's very expensive, which here in Kenya we are not even thinking about it. So the therapies that we have at least are the affordable ones are hydroxyurea.
Hey.
And it's not even affordable to everyone.
That's true.
That's the saddest part.
Dr. Can you comment on that?
Yes, about the treatment, I think the way she has said is true is because you know, with sickle cell disease, you have to be on medication most of the times. And I think the most important thing with people with sickle cell anemia is actually to be able to have a good diet and rehydrate. Yes, because that's the simplest, and the water is available. Of course, is available almost everywhere. So it's good to take a lot of water, and then, of course, especially the children when they got sickle cell, it's not only the coldness which triggers the sickle cell disease or sickle cell crisis. We have got also high temperatures. When children have high temperatures, when they are living in places where they normally have temperatures, like any fever or anything can be able to trigger the sickle cell crisis. But then the one thing which is very important is that sickle cell disease, people with sickle cell disease, they don't have malaria. They don't have full manifestation of malaria because when the malaria gets, the normally dies very fast because malaria infects the red blood cells, and when it gets red blood cells, that red blood cell dies immediately and malaria dies. So they never have actually malaria at all.
So what if then God made it as a way for the people in malaria-prone zones to survive? Because then they can get
actually that was the belief that
I don't know.
And that's how the genes mutated to now form sickle cell to prevent someone getting malaria.
Yeah, to survive within the environment.
Yes, because in areas like Nyanza, the western region, coast areas, there's a lot of malaria.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now it's basically genes mutating to survive the area. But now the saddest part is when they were carriers of sickle cell. They had no manifestations of crisis or such things.
Yeah.
But now when they get together and get children, now some of the children now get sickle cell.
I understand.
You get.
Yeah.
So now
that makes sense. That's our theory here. Don't take us anywhere. We're just having a conversation, like we're out for dinner. People are about to have dinner. You've mentioned healthy diet. Healthy diet. Every one of you has mentioned this. Let's tell them what to take off their table right now. Sorry. or what to put, or what must be on that table as they eat dinner. So pause. It's 7:30. I know you're about to eat. Let's give some eating advice.
You know, when it comes to food, sometimes it gets down to you as a person. But definitely you need a healthy diet. Okay. That means a diet consisting of carbohydrates.
So do you have some carbohydrates? What are carbohydrates? Let's not assume people know.
Ndoma, rice, ugali. Someone like me, I would prefer the natural ones, ndoma, but not chapatis. Okay. Because now that
gluten.
One is... Yes, that one. Okay. Yeah, so, yeah.
If you have chapati, sorry. Sinobaya. Tomorrow, do better tomorrow.
Yeah, so you can have your carbohydrates. You must take a lot of vegetables because at least your vegetables are the ones that will help the production of your red blood cells. So a lot of the vegetables, a lot of the fruits, and your proteins.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I won't say who said this statement, and I hope as he uses it, he says cabbage is garbage. I hope he will not use that, but Dr. You can also comment.
Right. So I think the way she said diet is very important, and it is said you either take food as medicine, or later you take medicine like food.
Yeah. Oh no.
Yes. So diet is, and of course, apart from sickle cell, of course, I mentioned cancers. One of the most important things we need to know as Kenyans is that our diet is very poor. And we eat things opposite. Yeah. We don't eat things in the right way. So we eat. There is somebody who just came and I don't know, changed our typical African food. And instead of giving us the right thing, he gave us the wrong things to eat. And it came up in a bad way because it is the rich who are supposed to be eating well. But they are the ones who are eating very badly. And that's what we find. The people in the rural area, they eat very well. They do a lot of exercise. And then you find that, like now, of course, I don't want to talk this before dinner. But I think
we have to talk about it as a health show
before dinner. But I think they can do it. Maybe they can change their diet after 1 month. Not tomorrow. Tomorrow is impossible.
Okay. After 1 month.
After 1 month. Okay. Takes time because remember you have already bought this food. It is full in your house. Because you buy per month. So it's full so you have to take it for the whole month. So you find that the first thing is the fruits. We really eat fruits. And the fruits we are supposed to eat them before food. Mostly people actually eat fruits after food. I don't know how that came about. So and the fruits you eat the colored fruits, not bananas. I know in every home. Yes, people, it's easy to go and buy banana and put it somewhere and then somebody can pick it and then banana actually we don't count it as a fruit. Yeah, because it's white and it's starch. Yeah. So the fruits are the ones which are colored. Okay. These are purple, they are mangoes, the watermelon and all that. Yes. And then when we don't come to greens, eat what is green. Don't eat green which is white. And the best green is spinach, especially for people with sickle cell and anemia. In fact, we recommend them to eat spinach because it has got high levels of iron, which is very important for making of the hemoglobin. So spinach and kales, that's kumawikis and manangos and the rest of the things. And the kundes actually they are normally the best. Yes. So that's how the fruits and vegetables. In fact, if you eat the fruits and the vegetables and you forget the rest, you're okay. But remember, we eat the rest. And we forget fruits and the vegetables. Yeah. Fruits and the vegetables, they should cover 50% of your plate. And then a quarter should be able to cover by protein, which is plant protein, not animal protein. Okay. Yeah, I know most of us Kenyans, we like red meat. And I know, during
the
dinner,
community that survive on red meat.
Red meat is not good. So just put plant protein. And these are dengus, they are beans, they are all that and all that class. And if you have to eat protein, which is animal based, eat fish. Fish is very good, and that's why you find that. And that's why you find that people around the lake region, they like a lot of fish, and that's why, of course, it helps them because of that, because of anemia and because of malaria, and because of sickle cell. So fish is normally very good, and also chicken. If you can get the chicken, it's also very good. So red meat is not very good for sickle cell disease, and also for your normal diet. And then when it comes to starch, the ugali, the rice, the chapatis, always go brown. Brown rice, brown ugali, and anything brown in starch is better. And chapati you eat brown, the bread you eat brown, the rice you eat brown. That's normally better. And because I know Kenyans we like the white rice, the white it is, the sweeter it is, the worse it is. And that's why we normally recommend that actually it's good to go for diet, because diet is important for people living with sickle cell disease. In fact, they should concentrate on the fruits and the vegetables. Fruits and the vegetables and the water. Yes. And then they eat less of the animal protein and less of the white stuff. Okay. Yes.
You know, people pay a lot for that kind of information. So if you love the people in your timeline, in your Facebook, what you need to do is share this video. If you're watching us on Facebook, click that share button. Let other people get to know this knowledge. It is paid for a lot of money. You pay a nutritionist to hear all that. So no, I'm not ruining the jobs for nutritionists. And then if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and share this video once again. We'll be back talking about more of sickle cell disease and sickle cell anemia. We'll get to know much more about how Joanne is living. She's looking beautiful and so healthy, and we'll continue to remove any stigma around sickle cell disease. It has to end today. So I'll see you shortly. You're on Health Check. It's on Hope TV. My name is Kerry. Welcome back, and thank you for watching Health Check on Hope TV. In case you just joined us, today's conversation affects over 6,000 children that are born into our community annually. It's a conversation we must have. During the conversation, I also got to learn that there's stigma around this disease, which should not be the case. And so you have an opportunity to do something good with your life, to talk to someone about sickle cell disease. We've gotten to learn so much, and if you missed out, you can just go back and rewind on Facebook or go to YouTube, where I'll give our doctor in studio and our amazing guests an opportunity to introduce themselves again and tell us a little bit more about sickle cell disease. I'll start with you, Daktari, this time round. The people who have just joined us, let them know who you are.
All right, my name is Dr. Geoffrey Mutuma. I come from Zambezi Hospital, which is here in Nairobi, South Sea, and we don't focus on sickle cell, we focus mainly on cancer, and also do major research in Kemri on cancer.
Awesome.
And a pathology, the way I've said, is that we normally start about disease, and so we understand almost each and every disease. And to go deeper in that is that we have mainly pathologists who specialize in hematology. Hematology is the study of the blood. And we have other pathology which is specialists on microbiology, which is different. Other specialists on histopathology, which is main diagnosis of cancer. Other specialists on forensic pathology, which is very different. And that's why I'm not very much in hematology. I'm more in forensic pathology and also in histopathology. But of course, as a pathology, I do understand very well about the diseases.
Absolutely. And
yes.
Being in medical school, you have to go through medical school to specialize in everything.
Yes.
So I think you're definitely right to be here. There's actually images that they've put out right there.
Right.
So that's
right.
What did you say?
That's a sickle cell, the one which looks like a banana.
Yes.
There's one which looks like orange, that's normal red blood cells. And the one who looks like a banana, that's a sickle cell.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the difference, yeah.
And with us also is co-founder and executive director, Joanne Chazima, Sickle Cell Foundation. Asante sana. Just tell the viewer who's just joined us who you are and why you are rightfully sitting on the doctor side of the show.
Yes, interesting enough, I get calls about sickle cell and they call me Daktari, I'm called a counselor, you know. So I carry all these titles. So I'm Joanne Chazima from Joanne Chazima Sickle Cell Foundation, and I'm a co-founder. We founded it with my husband, actually.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so co-founder and executive director of Joanne Chazima Sickle Cell Foundation.
I think this is a really good time to find out why you guys decided to set up the foundation.
Yeah. So interesting thing is, as I told you, I only knew about sickle cell when I was 22, and what we've known about sickle cell is once you have sickle cell, you will die very soon. In fact, you don't go past. In fact, they have those
21,
ages.
apparently.
Now that is the final one. They start 5 years, then not 14, then you can get to 16, then now not past 18. So if you're 21, you've done so well.
Wow.
You know.
Okay.
So here I was 22. Now I'm being told you have sickle cell, and I was like, okay, sawa. So let me just wait for this death to come, and that's what I did.
Oh no.
Yes, because you see. Interesting enough, there was a list of don'ts that Daktari had given me, you know. So I knew if all these things I'm not supposed to do, then how do I live my life? So I sat there, and actually I wanted to, in fact, increase this process so that I can go faster, you know.
Oh, no.
So I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't learning about
You are like, I
sickle
have to live life right
as
now.
in, let me be done
YOLO.
with it. In fact, this is bonus years.
Oh,
So let me be done with it and
no.
just,
It's okay.
yeah,
Sorry.
just be done with it. But interesting enough, I got someone who actually got interested and would read about it, and that's eventually my husband. So he would.
Even though alikukatia. Hey, people have styles. Wow.
Let me tell you, Kerry, this one's that actually, weird enough, we were in the same primary school. So you know, he used to see me fall ill. So like 2-3 weeks, I'm not in school.
Wow.
So eventually when we met, and this was after, you know, high school, actually after college.
Yeah.
And we bump into each other. We come from, we were in the same town growing up that time. So we bump into each other and eventually, you know, he's throwing, you know.
2 lines, mistari.
Hapa na pale, yes. So now he asked, you used to fall ill. Did you get better? Did you find out what it was and all that? Are you healed now? And I had known about it, about sickle cell, and it wasn't too long ago. And you see, I was ready to die anyway. So I told him, you know what? I have sickle cell. And I would understand if you walk away. Interesting enough, he didn't walk away. He actually tried to find...
This is a telenovela. Pass me tissues, somebody.
This is the one. So yeah, so he's the one who actually made me, because he would get any information about sickle cell, he would read about it,
Right.
then just print out, you know, give me printouts and encourage me and tell me, you know what, this is something that can be managed. So yes, and that's where we are right now.
Wow.
Yes.
Right.
There are good men out there, guys. All you
yes,
single
they're still
ladies, hello. God is going to come through for you.
Yes.
Yes, and someone who's
yes.
genuinely interested in this. And even as we were leaving for the break, we were talking about treatment and we kind of highlight some of the things. What are some of the other things you are doing personally as Joanne for management?
Number one, as I talked about, our first medicine is water.
Water.
Because water is what will make this banana-shaped or C-shaped cells, you know, move easily because they're the ones that block the blood vessels.
Yes.
So with water, when you are hydrated well, then there are less chances of you getting into a crisis unless now you have something like an infection. You get. So maybe you got an infection, a cold somewhere, or just something, you've picked an infection somewhere, that will also bring crisis.
Okay.
But the other things that you can avoid is just dehydration. Avoid dehydration. Eat well. Rest well. And then, you know, with the sickle cell, because now we have lower blood levels, there are times when we cannot push our body too much. There's too much exhaustion because of less blood. So now you understand your body. And like, if it says that's enough, just
That's enough.
take a rest.
Someone once told me to drink water because I had a muscle pull. And I'm like, it's a muscle pull. What does that have to do with the water? Now I see it all so clearly.
But you see, also water is very good. Number one, water will clean out your system.
That's true. All the toxins and everything.
Because we eat a lot of things that are not very clean.
That's true.
The only thing that at least will clear that out of our system is water.
Okay.
So it's quite good medicine. So yeah, I eat well.
Let's talk about that. What are you going to have for dinner tonight?
Actually, I've already had my dinner.
Which is smart to eat before 7.
I've already had my dinner. I do my dinners earlier.
That's good.
Yeah, so what I had a bit of matoke and okra. In fact, I didn't have any.
Okra, you're bougie, see? Hey, okra.
No, that's very simple vegetables you can get.
Love okra,
but
though.
I love my vegetables because I know what that does for me.
Yeah.
So I always go excess with vegetables. By then you find me sokoni, I'm buying this much, you know, of the traditional, especially the traditional vegetables, because they help a lot with building your blood levels.
Someone told me recently, if I get early for a meeting I have on Saturday, they'll buy me kunde. Because kunde is my new addiction. Every time I'm like, kuna kunde, akuna asikuli. You know? So like, if you come early, I'll make sure this kunde, that's the new treat for me. But I think nazeeka. Let's continue. Let's talk about early interventions of sickle cell anemia in children. That's a conversation we were picking up on earlier. And before even we go to making children, one conversation of genotype. We don't have that conversation very often in Kenya.
Right. you know, the way I've said and the way it is that sickle cell disease is genetically inherited. And it means that you need to have the mother a carrier and the father a carrier. That's called sickle cell trait.
Yes.
And because there's AS, when they're both AS and AS, it means that in their children, one children will be SS, and another children can be AA, that's normal. And other children can be AS will be carrier. So sometimes it's good to know, of course, now, especially when you come from, not Kitale, when you come, when you come from Nyanza region and maybe Kisii region, it's good to know the genotype, because that's very important, because it's good to, because if you are got AS and you marry somebody normal, it means that you means that your children will not have sickle cell
SS, yeah.
at all.
There's
not
no
have
chance for
There's no
SS,
chance
that's
for SS. But if you are AS and you marry AS, for sure you'll have children with the sickle cell disease, and that's why it's good to know genotype, especially not occurrence. Those come from those areas.
Why don't you just get that as a test when you check your blood type or something when you're born? And I think that's where we are going now.
This is what we're trying to fight as organizations.
Let's hear about it.
Yeah, the ones who are dealing with sickle cell right now. Because we want, you see, when you want to get married, there's that HIV that is mandatory,
Yes.
the HIV test that is mandatory. We want to get to a point of, you know what, let's test for sickle cell disease. You know, now I can also tell you, Dr. because of intermarriages, people are carrying forward the AS gene.
That's
you
true.
Get?
A lot of intermarriage.
So you might, there's a bigger population of Western Nyanza and Coast that has the condition or carriers, but people are marrying each other. So you find someone from Kikuyu land married a Luo guy or a Luya lady. Now, they were carriers. Their children might want to marry people from Coast. Get carriers. We are spreading it. You understand?
Yeah.
So you see, we can't just say it's just this area and the rest are fine.
Yeah.
No.
Someone is very, very worried, screaming in my ears. What is genotype? You know, that's the best place to start. Sorry, I made that assumption that we all know what a genotype is.
Yes.
Doctor, if you could please explain.
Genotype is actually your gene.
Your gene.
Genotype.
Now see genes, please. Gene, yeah, G-E-N-E.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That one. Gene is genes.
Yes.
So it is your genotype. You are typing your gene.
Yes.
And then we have got genotypes, and remember, in the gene there are so many things to test.
Yes.
Not only sickle cell.
Yes.
And that's why, and of course, doing the genotyping is not cheap. That's first.
That's
and
another
again,
thing.
it's not done every hospital. You have to go to specialist hospital to be able to do
When I come to
genotype.
Zambezi,
You cannot get it there.
wow.
Yes.
So where?
It's mainly in Kenyatta. In fact,
Okay.
it's mainly in Kenyatta. Not in private hospital, they rarely do it. They can do it, but not.
It's that specialized.
It's that specialized because it is rarely done, and not everybody goes for it. And this, of course, in future, that the way she has said, it's good to for everybody to
But
know
the future is
genotype.
right now. I mean, how many people are actually marrying from their own community? Let's just be
rare.
honest. It's
It's
very
rare.
rare right
Very
now.
rare.
Yes.
In fact, you don't
Nowadays-
even ask ni mkabila gani. You just ask, anapenda Yesu.
Yeah.
Yes,
care where
because
you're
you know,
from. Yeah.
we're intermarrying.
Yeah.
And this intermarrying, and that means we're carrying the you see, let's say now, Joanne married someone who doesn't have
Sickle
Is
cell,
that
yeah.
AA?
traits, yes,
Yeah.
doesn't have a trait. But my children are carriers.
Exactly.
You understand? Because
Yes.
they're carrying part of my gene,
Yeah.
the S gene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now, these kids, when they want to marry,
Yeah.
trust you me, if they're going to look in Luoland, if they're going to look in Luoland or Coast,
Yeah.
and even parts of Kikuyu land or
Yeah.
Kamba,
Yeah.
trust you me,
Yeah.
they may find carriers
Yes.
that side.
And it's a good conversation to have beforehand as well.
Yes.
So that you're not, because let's also talk about your parents and their reaction to you.
Okay. Interesting enough, I didn't know, and my mom didn't know anything about
Yeah.
sickle cell. I asked her about, in fact, after I knew about sickle cell, and I asked her, Mom, did you see anybody falling ill? You know, your cousins, your aunties, someone.
You try to trace it.
Yes, someone. She told me, I've never seen this. But you see, she was a carrier, and my dad
Yes.
was a carrier.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they didn't know.
Yes.
You understand? I don't know if my dad knew,
Yeah.
but my mom didn't know, honestly.
Wow.
So you see now, you're getting children, and you see this has become such a big issue.
It is.
A guy marries a lady, they start giving birth to children, then sickle cell crops up. Then now it is hii ni ugonjwa ya kutoka kwenu.
Ni kutoka kwenu.
Now you find marriages breaking because now it's become, wewe as mostly, sadly enough, it is the women who take this burden. Sadly enough.
So when the child is bright, they're the child for the dad.
Yes, that's the fathers. Yes.
So we are changing. So God is working.
Yes, so sadly enough, you find many marriages are broken. And men have told these women, hii ni ugonjwa ya kutoka kwenu.
It takes two to tango, man.
You know?
It takes two to tango.
So now you find so many single mothers with kids who are sick, they can barely provide, and now you have a sick child. Trust you me, that's a tough situation.
I was coming to who's part of your community, but before we go that, let's talk about sickle cell screening in newborns here in Kenya. Is that a conversation you know about, Dr. Mtuma?
Oh yeah, right. It's normally like the way she has said, it's good to screen the newborn for sickle cell because you know when the newborn is born, actually he has not sickle. They don't have the sickle cell because their fetal hemoglobin is very high.
Yeah.
When it drops down now after maybe 6 months or 1 year is when it starts getting the sickle cell crisis now. And that's why it's good to do the screening as early as possible to know what's got sickle cell and who does not have the sickle cell. I don't know how far it has gone, but I think as much as we talk about it, it's always good to start from where we know it's very common.
Yes.
Especially in Kisumu, Kisii, Nyanza, and Kakamega, around those areas, and maybe in Coast. But up to this time, I don't think there's anywhere they do screening in Kenya for sickle cell. And that's something we should be able to start to screen the sickle cell as early as possible. And then we should be able to do the genotype now. Of course, it's good to the genotype, but remember, love is blind. So,
Thanks for the heads up.
so it is good to know which genotype somebody belongs to.
Yeah.
I think it's only some countries like Ghana and Nigeria where they are very much aware.
Knowledge is power. You know, I mean, it's really power. In other
Yes.
words, you can know even someone. For example, we've talked about it here, HIV status.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say we won't get married because someone has HIV. In this new day and age, there are people who are undetectable.
Yeah.
There's so much technology. And so having that conversation with your partner is very, very good. We want to say the call lines are now open. If you have any questions on the same, we're ready to pick them up as we continue with this conversation. As we get into that, I just want to know who are part of your sickle cell, who is majorly in that community? Because we need to put faces to reduce stigma. And that's why when I got COVID, I came here and I said, guys, I was watu walikuwa shagawana TV yangu, kuna mtu alikuwa ameitisha gari, you know? It was very sad. So who are part of these people? Let's put faces to them. And you've talked about the single moms with children struggling.
Yeah,
that's sad.
And it's just, sadly enough, our men with sickle cell don't really come out. They don't share their stories.
That's kind of true.
They don't talk about it. I would love to understand why, but it's a conversation that needs to be happening, you know? Because at the end of the day, we are here to support each other. We are here to be there for each other and help each other, you know, just manage. Kids, you know, we've seen kids with sickle cell, young teens with sickle cell, you know. So just, it's basically everyone. And we need to have this conversation, talk about it, I guess only if we stop the stigma, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some questions coming in here. What is the difference between sickle cell and hymophilia?
Those are two very different diseases. Sickle cell is mainly the disease of red blood cells, with red blood cells which are sickling, and because of the genetic part of it. But hemophilia is problem of the bleeding system. Red blood cells is the carrying of the oxygen system. Hemophilia is the bleeding side. It means that somebody bleeds a lot, and that's the hemophilia. Sickle cell hemophilia is more serious than the sickle cell because of the bleeding. So somebody can bleed and bleed and bleed, and also management of hemophilias is not very easy, and that's why, of course, they are there, but it's still genetically inherited, but not as straightforward as we find in sickle cell. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. One is saying, Doc, I have sickle cell anemia. Should I take the COVID-19 vaccine? Watching from Nakuru.
About the COVID, it is safer to take COVID vaccine. Either irrespective of which disease you have. You have got cancer, you have got diabetes, you have got hypertension, you have got any disease.
Life
it
disease
is safer
also
to take COVID vaccine.
Okay.
because it's a bit explainable when you got COVID and you have taken vaccine. When you have COVID and you're not taking vaccine, that means that you have sort of neglected a very important thing which is happening. So it's important for everybody to have COVID vaccine, because COVID is a serious disease. I think I'm like you. I caught COVID myself, and I was very sick. I was in the hospital for 33 days.
What?
Yes, I could not. I survived by luck. In fact, now I'm living on bonus.
Oh.
Yes, because I
so
had
glad
already finished with my God.
Yeah.
Yes, because I told him, me, I'm coming to you.
Yeah.
Because where I reached somewhere where I could not. Of course, I collapsed, so I lost sense so many times.
Yeah.
But lucky enough, I put through.
Wow.
How I put, I don't know.
Yeah.
And this COVID, it has got some predilection, or it likes doctors. I don't know why. So the doctors are be a bit careful and of course we can't be careful. And lucky enough, me in my family, nobody has had COVID, only myself. Even in my hospital, nobody had COVID.
Wow.
So we don't know how these things is coming.
Yeah.
And we know who gets, and I don't know how to select who to get.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
Because when that it's not as we take it, you find that in a family or you have so many people, nobody got is only you. So
that's true.
it's very important. And you cannot take care of COVID enough. The only savior, the only things to save us is the vaccine. Nothing else. So it's very important for us, a viewer, to make sure that he gets the COVID vaccine. And when you've got another disease, you are worse off. Yes.
John, you told me you already got the shot, the jab.
Yes, I had to. I was too scared to just, when this COVID COVID came and they said it affected people with suppressed immunity. It scares. It's actually scared us a lot. In fact, even you got sick and you don't want to go to hospital, because supposedly that's where now it is even worse.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now it just we had to take extra care.
Okay.
To just see us.
Okay, that's good. And now at least you've convinced me. Okay, I'll go. I'm coming, Sawa. Okay. How do I know whether my newborn has sickle cell disease being from Lakeside? Do all hospitals check possibility of carrying or having sickle cell anemia? Good show. Yeah, this is a question we've discussed. But one is asking, will they check my child?
No, I think remember, sickle cell is not a disease we check all the time. Sickle cell is not like malaria, because everybody goes to hospital, checked malaria or checked the blood pressure or checked blood sugar. But sickle cell is a specialized test. And I think the simplest can be done in every hospital, even in the peripheral hospitals, is a peripheral blood film. Full hemogram, that is, you check the full hemogram, and then you do peripheral blood film, which most people can do. It can be even done in a health center to screen. But the actual test, to test and tell somebody you got sickle cell disease, is not for rural area. You have to go to a specialist area, to a specialist hospital. In fact, most of the level 5s, that's the county referral hospital, don't have that test for sickle cell. It's only in Kenyatta and some few maybe teaching hospitals.
And do we see why this is important to talk about?
It's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important to test. It's very important for people to understand and know if they're carriers, or so that you prevent so much more. You see, at the end of the day, once you know you're a carrier, you will not look for a carrier when you're marrying.
Exactly.
Or if you do, it's from an informed point of view.
Absolutely.
So that you know what will come and you're ready for it.
We're open to any calls you might have, any questions you might have. The number is running right below the screen. You can go ahead and call us live in studio, or keep texting in on 22232. That's 22232. This tab I have right here for any questions you might have on sickle cell disease. As we talk about that, who are some of the people you're coming together and partnering with to ensure that people can be able to know, number one, genotype, and they can be screening in newborns?
I think Kenya, we are still doing baby steps on the whole sickle cell idea. We're still doing baby steps. So we still have a lot to do. But thank God, now we came together as sickle cell foundations, different, and created...
so there are other foundations?
Yes,
there's so many. Why don't you send them some love? Just mention them. Because you guys are partnering, you're not competing.
Yeah, there's in fact there's a partnership even with the Kenya Hymophilia Association, because when they started their clinics, they noticed they're doing more of the sickle cell.
Yeah.
So now they brought us on board so that we create the Sickle Cell Federation of Kenya.
Wow.
So that we try and push policies in a way that now to help push these things, like newborn screenings, trying to just work together to see how best to handle, sickle cell. So yeah, there are a few. There's SCAT, there's SCAF. I'll just say.
Yeah, it's okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying, shout them out so that they know you're here, because you're representing so many people out there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, there's so many. As in, even Hymophilia dealing with it. There's Children's Sickle Cell Foundation. There's so many
people in this conversation. I like that you've talked about conversations for going to the next level and just ensuring that this is considered highly, because growing up, I knew so many people, I can say 5 people who I've known in person who have actually had sickle cell, and you don't even know how to support them emotionally. You don't know what to do. Let's pick up this caller. Good evening. Thank you for calling Health Check. Hello, thank you for calling Health Check.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Eunice. I'm calling you from Rongai.
Yes. What question do you have?
My question is to give a thumbs up to Joan for doing a great job.
Yay.
Thank you.
And she inspires a lot of women. And my question is, how do you overcome the men who don't understand you because you have sickle cell? Because they know she's married. She's a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's talk about it. At least we have a man in studio. Thank you for calling. And keep your calls coming. That's a real life question.
Exactly,
and it's quite good. How do we talk to these men who don't understand a woman is ill?
I feel like it boils down to a person.
Yeah.
We cannot generalize all men. We've not met all of them.
That's true. I love that.
Daktari can tell us the other part. But I think it boils down to your character as a person.
That's true.
Yes.
The core of who you are.
Yes.
Because if you judge someone or you treat someone differently, or you don't respect some boundaries because of the illness, then that's more of a you problem
than anybody else.
Okay, I like it. Daktari, speak to the men. Encourage them.
First is that men are difficult. First, I'm one of them. Remember, when a child does very well in school, it belongs to the dad.
Yeah.
When he does very poorly, it belongs to the mom. And men don't like responsibilities. They like to be a bit free. So once they discover you've got a problem, they tend to keep away from you. And for women, even when you have a problem, they stick to you.
Because we are nurturing.
Yeah, and that's why you find most men, of course, I've come these quite frequently, especially for ladies with cancers. You find a lady has got cancer and the man is not supporting. You have a lady with cancer. The man is not supporting. You have got a man with cancer. The lady is there and supports the man with everything. So I think it's more, I don't think it's culture. It's not Kenyan culture. It's universal. And the way she has said it boils to in the individual. And of course, it goes to many things. Your lifestyle, do a church, you go to church. Those who go to church know Christ. They are better off. Of course, those they don't have a problem. But a typical Roman, I will not support you.
Oh, no. but when someone shows you who they are, just believe them.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to like push and push. If someone can't be supportive for you, just now
and I think sometimes I feel like you as a lady, you can tell if this is a right man for you, if this man will be there for you.
Yep.
They say the first 3 dates, you can tell what sort of a man this is. So when you get to understand that, you will pick someone that you know will be there for you.
I love it. Stop making excuses for people. You know, you meet someone and they were rude to a waiter, and you're like, oh, they had a bad day. They're just rude.
And
That's just who they are. Yeah.
You know, surprisingly, ladies turn a blind eye because they love or they like this guy so much, they don't want anything going wrong. No. That means you do everything and anything to make sure this works. But you see, the other person is not.
Please, don't.
Yes.
And they always think the man will change.
No. You can never change.
No.
You can never change. You can never change someone.
We need to get a dating show, the three of us. It will be a good show. Is the thyroid test done in newborn meant to test sickle cell? Is the thyroid test done in newborn meant to test for sickle cell?
Not necessarily. Thyroid is a real done test, and it's done when is a specific reason why you are doing it.
What's a thyroid test, first of all?
Thyroid
just for people who don't know. Me, I know.
Okay, thyroid is a gland which is in front of your neck. And there are some people who are called their thyroid which grows big. It's called hyperthyroidism, or it is called thyroid goiter. Most of it call it goiter. Yeah. And there's what you call hyperthyroidism and hypothyroidism. Hyper is when you got a lot of thyroid being produced. Hypo is when we have got very low thyroid being produced. And that's it's not a test we do routinely. Even for the patient, even you can see 1,000 patients who are sick, and you don't do one thyroid test because you do it specifically when there are some clinical signs or there is presentation of that patient which shows that doing thyroid test is very important. Okay.
Yes. Dr. Reed, just as you continue, Isaac calling from Samburu. Thank you for watching Health Check. What's your question?
Mine is a comment.
Oh, sure.
I wanted to say that the topic is very educative.
Thank you, sir.
Because most of the time, maybe those are not issues that people should really make consideration to before getting into marriage and that kind of a thing.
That's true.
And I've found it very educative, and I think the work they are doing when it comes to sensitization is an awesome job. So I want to say that the organization is doing a good job.
Yes.
And I would hope that they keep on educating people so that people can be able to look at those issues of genome and what have you.
Thank you, Isaac.
So I want to congratulate them.
Awesome. Say thank you to Isaac.
Thank you,
Isaac. Thank you for calling Health Check. That's really good.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. One is saying, Dr. Wutum, have you ever diagnosed as a case of sickle cell in Ukambani or Kikuyu land? This show is going south.
No, you know, there's assumption that there is no sickle cell in Ukambani or Kikuyu
because
land.
Because you don't get an AS, you don't know who your grandmother.
That's the thing. Once you come to understand that, you can get it anywhere.
I love how you've responded.
No, I've not. I've not. In Cumberland and also Kikuyu land, no, I've not diagnosed myself. Maybe other doctors are.
Yes, and maybe you can text us and message us if you are, because you know, we don't want to make an assumption and stereotype you know those people from that other side of the highway. We're not going to do that, and not on this show, not on my watch. No stigma ever. We talk about things and we catch them square, fair and square. As we continue, we've shared a little bit about comprehensive care and management for sickle cell anemia patients, but what are some of these complications that come with sickle cell disease, and how can we prevent them? We can start with you, Dr.
Yeah, the complications of sickle cell, there are so many, and I think she has talked on, or we have talked in depth how can we be able to avoid them. And most of the complication of sickle cell is actually getting necrosis. Necrosis is when a part of the body does not get oxygen and it dies.
Okay.
And necrosis. And normally we have people having necrosis in their feet, so that the blood does not reach in the feet or in the hands, or having something in the brain because the vessels are being blocked for a long time, and so your brain has got a problem. The most important organ which is actually damaged by sickle cell is the spleen, because the spleen is where most of the sickle cell are killed or removed from the body, and then most of it actually, most of sicklers actually, most of them the spleen becomes infected or necrotic, and most of it is actually removed. They're called splenectomy, and that's why when they've got a problem, because when you remove the spleen is where the soldiers of the body are made. So when they are removed, spleen is removed, that's a problem. And that's why you find that actually those are the few of the complications. And of course, some of them may have the problem of the joints because of the same thing. So there are so many complications of sickle cell. And I think the most important one, which actually is a complication, is actually lack of oxygen. And when you lack oxygen, especially in the lungs, that's why actually most people actually pass on because of lack of oxygen when actually they don't get oxygen in the lungs. And so there's that necrosis of the lungs, or there's blockage of the lungs and they don't get oxygen, and then the brain does not get the oxygen. That's actually becomes a real complication for sickle cells.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the things you've maybe had to handle with. The same.
I think I'll write a book so that people
Yeah,
can
we
read
need
about
a
it.
book. We do. I agree.
Yeah, because I've had a stroke. I've had
A mild stroke.
yes,
'Cause I can't
but
see
lucky enough,
anything on your
no, you can't
pictures.
tell. No, you can't tell.
Wow.
Because I was in hospital that time when I was having a stroke.
Okay.
I've had a kidney failure.
Yes.
You know, that's what I'm telling you. With sickle cell, it's a blood disorder, but it affects our organs. You get so. So many other things have happened due to taking pain medications. I have gastritis. At some point, there was pulmonary hypertension. As in, there's so much. So sickle cell, yes, is a blood disorder, but it will affect, you know. So every time you have to check your liver function, you have to check your kidney function, you have to check your heart, your brain. Sometimes you have to do an MRI to make sure no blood clots, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I like how you mentioned them because you're so strong. You're so strong. Me, I just get into a hospital. Hata tu kuangaliwa nini, I'm crying. Nini. You know.
You want the results immediately.
Yeah, like, you know, this is just so amazing just to watch you. What kind of support would you like, let's just say from the bottom of your heart, that probably you can say out right now to someone so that they understand how to support those around them?
well,
You can say emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, whatever.
everything. Because I can tell you for free, if I did not have the support system that I have, number one, my mother, you know, she would do anytime Joanne was sick, as in her life stops. And it wasn't just me, there was also my sister who had passed early, who passed when she was 18. So, and she also had sickle cell. So you see, she had 2 kids who had this disease and her not even understanding what this is. You understand? But I think her faith in God kept her going. You understand? So yes, my mother has always been by my side. Now comes my husband. Anywhere we go for a family gathering, as in before COVID, as in when actually my relatives would pick. They'll be like, you don't look so good. What's going on? They will start, okay, what do you need?
Yeah.
Number one, sit down. What do you need? Your medication, your what? Because they would always tell. Now, the sad part, Kerry, the people I'm dealing with, they don't have this support system. Number one, they're people who their families do not want to care. In fact, they feel like they are now a burden to them. Now, they have no one to talk to. You know, sometimes they say a problem shared is
Half solved.
yes.
Yeah.
So they have no one to even understand what they're going through. You get. So they would suffer alone, and most of the time they would tell you, you know what, me, I'm tired and I want to die. Because there's no emotional support. Now comes the financial aspect of this disease. It's not cheap. Trust you me, it's not cheap. And most of them cannot even afford to pay NHIF.
Not even that. When you fill in the form for diseases for your, like when you want to get a insurance and you put in there, you know, they are like,
in fact, every insurance, number one, will sort of pull back. You have to pay for, I don't know how long before you're allowed the cover. And even if they cover you, it is, I think, 10% of even the money you or a healthy person will get. You get. Because you will keep on going to hospital. That means you will use that amount. Apart from, you might take an insurance and you go to hospital how many times?
That's true.
In a year.
That's true.
But
even Neil, you just have to force it because
Yes.
you're like, this money won't go to waste.
Yes,
And
so
if
you
I
just-
full body check, now any check.
something.
Yeah.
But you see, with Joanne, Joanne will definitely head to hospital at one point or the other. You understand? Whether outpatient or inpatient. When my blood level is too low, and as you said, 5, like let's say 5, I need transfusion.
Yeah.
So I need blood. So that means I'll be I'll be admitted to get that blood. If I have an infection and it's really put me down, I have to be in hospital for some days for them to treat that infection. Otherwise, it can be detrimental. You understand? So those are the things that, yeah, and then come back to hydroxyurea. Not everybody can afford.
Yeah.
Trust you me, Carrie, the calls I get, wow. And sometimes someone is in crisis, they have no money. They tell you, Joanne, I'm tired. I just want to go. I have no money to go to hospital. How do you help me?
Your namesake is calling from Vihiga. Let's pick up. Joanne from Vihiga, good evening.
How are you, Kerry?
I'm good, Joanne. What's your question?
Oh, just a question, eh?
Yes.
I'm happy to see Joanne, eh?
Hey, Joanne, uko na mafani. Hey, Governor. MP.
Yes.
So just asking, eh?
Eh.
I'm another profession. Most of my patients, eh, I've seen them dying, eh?
Oh.
When they reach the age of 24, 26. And all the time, when they come to the hospital, most of the time they come from, they do come with anemia, and most of the time they have that sickle cell crisis. But when they develop a wound, it really takes a lot of, let me say, it will take care of it for a very long time, and eventually they do pass away. So I'm very happy to see Joanne at that age. May God bless her, and I wish that the doctor to tell us what can you do in that state, because most of the patients have seen them dying for reaching 28. And if someone passes by age 28, they do pass by 30 years. What could be the problem?
Dr. Did you pick that?
No.
Oh, just Joanne. Oh, okay, we missed her.
Yeah.
I
So
think
did you-
basically management.
Management,
of
because
the
she's saying
condition.
that, you know, people come with crisis, they come with anemia, they come with, and most of them only make it up to 24. She's calling from Vihiga, and she's in a medical practitioner as well. And what could be the problem of this high loss? What would you advise?
Mainly, as we have said, the management of sickle cell is the same, irrespective of the age. The only thing is that, as she has said, is that there is a lot of damage to the organs. The sickle cell can damage any organ in the body, and that's why sometimes by the time you reach a certain age, there's a lot of damage which has been continuing, and sometimes actually you may reach what we call the end stage of damage of that organ. So the organ fails, like the kidney, like the liver, like sometimes the brain, and other parts of the body, like the spleen. In fact, most of the people, by the time you have had sickle cell for a bit of time, the spleen becomes dead completely. So it has to be removed from the body, and that's why sometimes with age, and that's why we normally say that the sickle cell becomes serious with age because of the continued damage of the organs because of the crisis. And that's why, irrespective of the age, irrespective of when the patient comes, it's always important to do the basics of the management of sickle cell. The age and the gender does not matter. Yes.
Absolutely. And I know you want to comment, but I'll give you a chance to comment as you give your closing remarks. I don't know where time went to. Yeah, we have about 6 minutes. So I'll give each of you some minutes to comment. But I just want to, catch you up. We'll be talking about sickle cell disease, and quite interesting that it's one of those death sentences that is given to anyone with sickle cell. We have one real life living lady. It's rude to ask a lady her age. But Joanne, if you
I cannot hide my age.
Oh, good.
Anyway,
Yeah.
because what I have gone through, I don't think there's any point of hiding.
Okay.
Yes. So Joanne is 37.
Hey!
A mother of 3.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
And
That
the
is-
second pregnancy was actually a twin pregnancy.
Wow.
Yes. So we might all try and lose hope and say, oh, but deep down,
Yeah.
when it is not your time.
It is not.
Surely.
And who are you to give a death sentence?
Yes. Why do you want to die before your time? Fight.
Fight.
Yes.
Fight.
Fight.
Yeah.
God is there. There's a reason why He's put you on this earth.
Yes.
Be done with your purpose, then go.
Yeah.
Like knowing that I'm done.
I've done what I could do.
Yes.
I have some amazing warriors. Unfortunately, they're not with us. Is my friend Tosin Buchner, really, she was like one of the best entertainers in Nigeria, and I got to meet and actually host a radio show with her. She passed on at 39, but she had fought so well, and I didn't even know Tosin had sickle cell because of just how she was living. She was healthy, she was dancing, she was, just doing the best that she could do. And of course, as you said, that complication, because I had to find out, and it wounds you. And of course, Petronilla and Yvonne, I mean, those are people who we celebrate day to day, watching them battle and try and live their best life. And that's what you need to do, not because you have anything to fight, but because you have life. And that's a big deal. I'll give you a chance to just wrap it up. Of course, we are trying to create awareness. Do you have a page? How can we follow you? How can we engage? Where are your meetings? When is sickle cell day of the,
Yeah, sadly enough, COVID has just, COVID happened.
So
we can barely have physical meetings.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that if someone is in need, we cannot step in, whenever. Yeah, so if anybody wants to find us, join Chazima Sickle Cell Foundation. We are on Instagram, Twitter, so just, and you can always call us. I think when you check our website, you can have the number there and just call us. We'll always try and see what to do. Sometimes you just want to talk and just encouraging you. That makes a very big difference.
Is there a donate button?
Yes,
so
the website,
click that donate button.
We need hydroxyurea, and that's the one thing that people cannot afford to buy. So if you find you give someone hydroxyurea for a while, trust you me, you can see their lives changing.
Wow.
Because it's the one thing, once they have these medications throughout, their life improves. And you see now someone from poor backgrounds, and I can tell you for free, the guys I'm dealing with, Kawangware, Korogosho, Dandora, trust me.
But even thinking about it, who makes hydroxyurea? Why can't it be cheaper? Why can't people come together and make interventions? Not cheaper, but let me say the word, more affordable.
Yes,
Why
we
is it
need
gold?
that. We need that.
Yeah,
because
that's another conversation we could totally have. Encounter it from the reverse. Or I go back to school and I study. What will I study to learn how to make medicine? And I make my own. There's a musinikasirisha nyinyi watu hydroxyurea. I'm so serious.
Yeah,
and
so
we see how
it needs to be affordable. Trust you me, because people from poor backgrounds, and you see, it will prolong your life, because now it will reduce the intensity of the crisis. It will reduce the number of, the crises you get in a year, which now at least you're able to function a bit better.
And then also the less crisis you have, the less damage to your body.
Yes.
Wow, I've learned so much today, and I'm going to give you a minute to wind up. But Dr. what final remarks would you have just to encourage people? And I mean, you've talked about some myths, we've talked about misconceptions, we've talked about so much about sickle cell disease, and thank you so much for making time to be here. What would be your final remarks on the same?
I think for the final remarks, the first is for people with sickle cell disease and sickle cell anemia, and most of the parents and the family members, we need to support the people with sickle cell. It's very important that we support them. And then I think it's also important when you've got sickle cell, it's good to come out and be known and get to know actually what we need to do. And for those who have got the sickle cell disease, is that it's not a death sentence. I think she's a living example of somebody who can survive well and even have twins. Yeah, when it's not easy even for a normal person not to have twins. Actually, it's a blessing, and I thank God for that.
And that's my dream, sister. We'll talk after.
So I think it's very important that we support these people, and more so, in fact, I think, Joanne, it's good to give the people your contact and also how they can reach you, because I'm liking the way you have done it and the way you are doing it now. And what I can do is just encourage it and get the energy and do it, because you are saving a lot of lives. And this is a disease. It is coming. It's all people are being born with it every day, and
6,000 kids a year.
Every day, and so it's very important. Actually, you need to come out a bit. I don't know how you come out a bit. You need to come out, and then we know, because I didn't know about the foundation of sickle cell. I know it's a serious disease, but I didn't know that there's a foundation. So you need to come out, and you need at least to come out, and at least you need to tell us to donate with a few shillings and a few dollars if we can. And I think you are the center point of sickle cell this time. So it's good for our viewers at least to get in touch with Joanne, those who are about sickle cell, and those who are AS. The AA, no problem. The AS, they need to get in touch with her, because those are the people we need to follow and advise them before marriage and even after marriage. In case you are married and you are AS and AS, you are married, we know also to advise. Remember, it's not all your children who will have sickle cell. There are a few of them. And those who will have the sickle cell is normally very, very important to support the children and for the parents to take heart. And my men, let us support our ladies. And when they've got a problem, I'm sure Joanne, she's here and today and looks so beautiful today because of the husband. It's very important because once you are not supported as a lady, it is tough and life can become very tough. So it's important, especially for men, and I know us men, we don't like responsibilities. When they come, we run away. When things are good, we come. I think that's not good. I don't know how we can be able to convert them. I don't know. We take them to church. That's be the best thing.
That's the best place. But we can also pray right now. Pigeni magoti, sema Mungu Baba. You are changed in Jesus' name.
Yes.
John, I'll give you a minute to wind up. And as Dr. said, Dr. is serious. I once had a campaign I was doing on men's health and wellness, and I just approached him, and he showed up himself. He brought his whole kits, people to do testing and counseling and everything. So he's serious when he says, tell us about yourself and what you do and how we can donate. And he doesn't donate in shillings. He's a dollars guy.
He's a dollar guy.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, so that's good.
So, I don't know if I should give my number on TV.
Give your number on TV.
Oh, that's very important. And your location.
So it's just that issues with COVID right now.
Okay.
But you can reach us on 0721 501 603. Personally, that's actually
0721
501 603.
Okay.
That's actually my number.
Yeah.
As in, I talk to these guys wherever. And
yes,
we need medication. In fact, me, I tell guys, if you can donate, as in someone, you might think 500 shillings is not, as in is very little money for you, but trust you me, that 500 shillings, when someone gets hydroxyurea for about a week and a half,
they are fine.
Do you know that makes a big difference?
In their lives.
You know.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we need guys to come out. We need guys to just step up and say, you know what? This is our community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Remember to share this video with everybody. I want to thank you one more time, Dr. Mutumba. I want to thank you so much, Joanne Chazima. Nice to meet you, and blessings to your family. For me, it's goodbye, good night, and keep thanking God for your health. Bye.